Hello everybody, and welcome to Theology 101. Today we are going to look at the book of Song of Songs. The book of Song of Songs is the 22nd book of the Old Testament. The Hebrew Bible has 3 sections: the Law, Prophets, and Writings. The Law contains the first 5 books of the Old Testament. The Prophets is made up of 8 books divided into the former prophets and the latter prophets. The Writings consist of religious poetry and wisdom literature. Now there are 5 books of the Old Testament that are read at the 5 major Jewish festivals: Song of Songs, Ruth, Lamentations, Ecclesiastes, and Esther. These scrolls follow Job and precede Daniel in the writing sections of the Old Testament. So we see that the Song of Songs is one of the 5 books that were read at the 5 major Jewish festivals. The Song of Songs comes from the opening verse of the book, the Song of Songs, which is Solomon's. The phrase Song of Songs means that this song is the greatest song of all time. Just like Holy of Holies refers to the holiest part of the tabernacle, and the phrase Lord of Lords refers to God as the ultimate Lord, so also the Song of Songs refer to the book as the greatest love song of all time. Now we see clearly that Solomon is identified with this song. However, it is unlikely that he wrote this entire book. When Solomon's wedding is described, it mentions him from a distance, which suggests that this was recorded years after this event. Like the Psalms that compile several songs from different authors, it is possible that Song of Songs compiles different songs from several authors regarding Solomon. Now, love poems in the ancient Near Eastern cultures during this time were typically between gods and goddesses. Only a few poems describe love between humans. One example is found within Egyptian poetry, which parallels the language in Song of Songs. Although there is no dialogue recorded between 2 people, there are soliloquies that resembles those found in Song of Songs. Egyptian love poems describe admiration, yearning, and descriptions of physical attributes that parallels those found in this book. So the main topic of the Song of Songs is describing the sexual love between a man and a woman. This love described in the book is in line with God's affirmation of sexual love between a man and a woman, namely Adam and Eve, and harmonizes with different wisdom literature's understanding of sex. Within the Bible, marriage is typically viewed from a social perspective where families and properties are united with an emphasis on descendants. However, the Song of Songs emphasizes the sexual love between a man and a woman within the covenant of marriage. So you might be wondering, why is this type of book in the Bible? For years, the Song of Songs has been wrongly misunderstood as an allegory of the relationship between Jesus and the church. According to this view, the man represents Jesus while the woman represents the church. But one can see the obvious problem with this interpretation when you come upon certain texts like Song of Songs chapter 1 verse 13. My beloved is to me a sachet of myrrh that lies between my breasts. Awkward. How does this describe Christ's love for his people? So this type of interpretation does not match with the natural reading of the text. The most natural reading of the Song of Songs is the correct one, namely that this book is a love poem describing the love between a man and a woman within the parameters of marriage. So this book is included in scripture to show us all the different sides to humankind. God did not create us as disembodied souls, but with body and soul united together. God created us as male and female with the precious gift of sexual enjoyment within marriage. Now let me give you an overview of this book. Song of Songs chapter 1 verses 2 to 6 is the introduction to the book. The woman expresses her yearning for her lover and is hanging out with other women called the daughters of Jerusalem. Her description of herself to these women introduces the picture of a vineyard as a description of herself. This is a theme that is later developed in this book. Then we see a dialogue between the man and woman in Song of Songs chapter 1 verse 7 to chapter 2 verse 7. She desires to see him, and this dialogue continues with mutual admiration expressed between the two until the woman finishes with an oath to the daughters of Jerusalem that they will not awaken her love until the right time. Starting in Song of Songs chapter 2 verse 8, the woman describes a visit from her lover and his invitation to her. Her response closes with an invitation to the man, and then the woman describes to the daughters of Jerusalem her search for her beloved. She describes how she dreams of being with her lover, but ends with this repeated request to the daughters of Jerusalem. I adjure you, O daughters of Jerusalem, by the gazelles or the does of the field, that you not stir up or awaken love until it pleases. Then in Song of Songs chapter 3 verses 6 through 11, we see a description of a procession of Solomon on the day of his marriage. Go out, O daughters of Zion, and look upon King Solomon with the crown with which his mother crowned him on the day of his wedding. on the day of the gladness of his heart. Beginning in chapter 4, we see the man describe the physical attributes of his bride from her head downward and describes the effect she has on him. He continues with a poem about a garden, which envisions her as a paradise of exotic plants and a sealed fountain. The last couple of lines of this section shows her response. Let my beloved come to his garden and eat its choicest fruits. And the man responds that he's coming to the garden. Then in Song of Songs chapter 5 verse 2 to chapter 6 verse 4, there is a dialogue between the woman and the daughters of Jerusalem. She begins with the description of a visit from her husband, but he disappears and she cannot find him. When the daughters ask her for a description of this man, she responds with a picture detailing his physical attributes. Then the daughters of Jerusalem want to join her in search of her husband, but she replies that he has never really been lost since he has come to his garden and they belong together. The man then delivers a poem admiring his bride, leading to a description of her beauty. After giving this description, the man expresses his desire for her, but she interrupts him to proclaim their unity and invites him to a meeting in the fields. In the final chapter, chapter 8, the high point is the woman's description of love as being as strong as death and as hard as Sheol. In other words, just as death or Sheol pursues every person, so does a lover pursue the beloved. So ends the greatest love song of all time. Thank you to today's sponsor, On Reverence. They offer a free digital worship music app called Maskill. If you want to find out more, I'll leave some links below in the description box. If you missed the last video about the book of Ecclesiastes, I'll leave a link here for you to watch. And until next time, see you.